What is up, my dudes? Welcome to my first movie review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the recently released horror movie Winchester. I've been wanting to see this movie for a while. I went and saw it this weekend, and in short, it is super disappointing. The movie is based off of the lore of the Winchester Manor. I do believe the house is considered one of the most haunted houses in America, and you can still go visit it, which is pretty cool. But the movie itself isn't bad, but it's super boring, especially given the source material and the talent behind the movie and in the movie. The movie is essentially about a psychiatrist who's sent to evaluate Sarah Winchester's state of mind and see if she's crazy or not, because she's building this house and spending company money to build this house in order to appease these spirits that she believes are haunting her. Spirits of people who've been murdered by the Winchester guns that her family created. The movie follows Dr. Price as he goes about the house, figuring out whether Sarah is crazy or whether there's actual supernatural stuff happening. A lot of the movie plays off of his feelings of if you can't see it, it's not real. So everything supernatural that happens, he doesn't really believe it because you can't see it. There's also these other two characters, Sarah Winchester's niece, Mary Winchester, and then her son, Henry Winchester. And some spooky stuff happens with them that kind of helps Eric believe maybe there is something going on. The one thing that was kind of disappointing about this movie is that it wasn't scary, at all. The source material and the house itself in real life is pretty scary. Again, it's considered one of the most haunted houses in America. The actual story within the movie isn't really there, and it's super boring. The only scares that this movie has to offer are jump scares, which I think are super cheap in a horror movie and don't really count as being scary because it puts you in this tranquil state of mind, super quiet, and then all of a sudden, bam, something screams out. Some loud noise, there's a reflection accompanied with a loud noise. There's no subtle horror in this movie. It is all jump scares, and a lot of them are fake outs to try to convince Dr. Price that Sarah is crazy. Something will happen and it turns out being a human. Her turn around to be scared by another human. So a lot of the stuff that happens isn't really supernatural. There are also a lot of super random plot points in this movie, things that show up at the beginning of the movie and are never addressed again, or just randomly appear at the end of the movie when there was no mention of them in the beginning. My overall rating of this movie, as for the plot, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. A lot of the story was super cliche. There wasn't really a good, solid story. And like I said, there were a lot of loose ends that were not tied up or just randomly placed in there. As for the characters, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 solely because of the actors' performances. Helen Mirren did an excellent job. She's an incredible actress, and she did really good, especially considering what she was given for this movie. Even though the script is and the story is she still gave it her all, which is super awesome. Clarke did good. His character was written kind of like an asshole, but he still did good. Sarah Snook, I think I'm saying her last name right, played Mary Winchester, Sarah's niece, and her character, as well as her son, Henry, they were honestly distracting to the movie. There were parts where Helen Mirren and Clarke's characters were in this action scene, and then it would randomly cut to Mary and her son, and it was really distracting, and you honestly didn't care about them. There were parts where they were in a super perilous situation and you didn't know were they gonna live, were they gonna die. You didn't care. Either way, there were some points where I was kind of hoping they would die just because then their characters would be gone and we wouldn't have to keep cutting back to them. But as for her performance, she did fine. The kid was super annoying, so there's that. The cinematography, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. This movie was pretty beautifully shot. The editing was pretty well done. The special effects were pretty good considering. As for the horror elements of this movie, I'm going to give that a 3 out of 10 because it is not scary, and like I said, it relies almost completely on jump scares and random noises and stuff like that. So overall, I would give this movie a 4 out of 10. I know I was pretty hard on this movie, but it's mostly because it is supposed to be a horror movie and it's not scary. It's boring. I'm not saying don't see it. I'm just saying maybe wait until it goes to the dollar theater or until it comes out on Netflix or another streaming service, something maybe that you can rent. I may have made it out to seem like it's worse than it is. You may enjoy it. This is just my personal opinions. I don't regret seeing it. I don't think I wasted my time. I just don't think it was a horror movie, and it wasn't super scary. But that is my first movie review, so thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm still trying to get the hang of this, trying to figure out how everything works. I know that the lighting's weird and there's shadows back here and I'm moving my hands a lot and the sound is probably off, and I'm really nervous and sometimes I'm looking at myself instead of the camera, but I really appreciate you guys watching. So leave a like if you enjoyed this video, comment down below any opinions you had on the film itself or my video or anything that I said. I would love to hear from you. That's all I have for now. I will be back next week with another real review. So until then, later my dudes.